Alright, you guys, I'm back once more. Kai DeVale, as you know, and another one from All Asian Dilemmas. Shout out to them. Their content is great, and their short videos are even good too. So I'm gonna review the short one and give you my take on it. Let's go.
Lu Qin was only 25 years old when she met Ji Cheng, who was 27 at the time.
Perfect ages. I think when my parents came together, they were a little younger than that. I think my dad was 19 and my mom was 18, something like that. Yeah.
The meeting happened through a matchmaker, something still common in small towns across China, where marriage is often seen as a collective project, usually led by the family. The expectations were simple: two young, single people, similar in age, with a chance to start a family. What no one expected was that within less than 48 hours, Lu Qin would already be living in the man's house.
Wow.
The
House? He had a house before he was 30? Now that's an accomplishment right there. So basically, this is not an average guy.
beginning was just as quick as the end. After just one night under the same roof, Lu Qin vanished without a word.
Oh,
No
shit.
letter, no message, just silence. Ji Cheng's family was confused, and as is typical in conservative environments, they quickly blamed the man.
It's always the man's fault. At least it is at first until we find out what really happens, right? So, this is common. Abandoning the relationship or the marriage, a lot of times it's going to be the woman that does that. Men rarely do that. I know some that did, but usually it's the woman that does that.
Did you do something wrong? They asked. Did you offend her? But Ji Cheng defended himself. He said nothing had happened, that it was a brief but respectful interaction. Still, his family wasn't convinced and spent days trying to locate Lu Qin without success. She had vanished like smoke. Over time, Ji Cheng accepted the situation and moved on with his life. He probably assumed it was just another one of those failed family-arranged dates. Until, 9 years later, the past came crashing back, and with force.
Uh-oh.
Lu Qin, now 34, reappeared with a piece of news that would change everything. I had a child with you. He's 9 years old. The news hit Ji Cheng like a bomb. It came from a woman he had only spent 2 or 3 days with, a woman who disappeared without a trace.
2 to 3 days. And almost 10 years later, you actually got her pregnant 9 years. Oh, man. Can you imagine that? A girl you only spent 2 or 3 days with, not even a week. Oh, my goodness. And you was at his house, too? Sounds like it was fast-tracked, but okay.
How could he believe something like that? Lu Qin explained that she had been living in Macau for the past 6 years, married to a new man, and
Oh.
that her son, the result of that brief encounter, was living in Zhuhai, raised by a nanny. Due to bureaucratic issues, especially China's hukou system, which dictates where a person can legally live, work, or go to school, she couldn't bring her son to live with her in Macau. To do that, she needed the biological father's signature approving the move. And that's where the story gains more layers. Lu Qin hadn't come back out of longing, or to ask for child support, or to demand that Ji Cheng be a father. She returned to solve a paperwork issue. One signature, and according to her, after that, she would never contact him again. But
Wow. So eventually you're going to have to come back for something if you try to plan your great escape.
that was enough to shake Ji Cheng's entire life. He had already built a new family. Suddenly, he found himself caught in an emotional scandal, pressured to sign a document that meant acknowledging a child he wasn't even sure was his. Above all, he felt betrayed not by a woman, but by a situation that forced him to confront something much bigger,
Uh-oh.
the possibility of a son who had grown up without even knowing who he was. Despite the shock, the local media picked up the story and pushed for Ji Cheng to take a DNA test, and though hesitant, he agreed. But the question lingered: why did Lu Qin disappear the way she did all those years ago? According to her, the time she spent with Ji Cheng was short, but long enough to realize he had no direction in life. He wasn't working, lived with his mother, and showed no ambition or stability.
Well, damn. That's enough for somebody to leave, but you could have said something. You could have said this wasn't going to work out, or, I just think it's childish when people walk out on the relationship like that without no closure. I mean, no, they wasn't married, but it would have been nice to know that you ain't coming back, right? I mean, that way I don't have to leave the light on for you like Motel 6, but all right.
In short, he didn't seem like someone she could rely on. That weighed heavily. At that moment, Lu Qin did what many women might do silently. She chose survival and left without looking back. A few months later, she discovered she was pregnant, and she decided to have the baby, but it wasn't purely a maternal decision. She saw the child's birth as a way to comfort her parents, especially after her older brother got divorced and was no longer able to give the family a grandchild. And so, the filial piety child was born, the child brought into the world to meet the expectations of the elders. But as with many decisions made under pressure, the consequences eventually came. Raising a child alone, without emotional or financial support, wasn't easy. Lu split her time between odd jobs and caring for her son.
So she had no money herself and chose to do it on her own. I mean, she could have gotten an abortion, but that would have been murder. And in China, I don't know how they go about abortion, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people are doing it anyway. Ay, ay, ay. So basically, she didn't want to struggle together with somebody. She could do bad all by herself. But she basically didn't give him time of day to get himself together. I mean, they only spent a few days together.
Until she met Ah Wei, a man from Macau, more stable, kind, and willing to accept the child as part of the package. Ah Wei wanted to build a new life with her, and he wanted the boy with them.
Okay, how come he couldn't find somebody that didn't have a kid? See, I don't understand guys that are financially well off. They're like the biggest simps. Just because you could doesn't mean you should. But then in society, men are looked down upon for refusing to accept a single mother. So where are all my guys at that say that they get women for free and they don't need money to get women? You need money to keep women. If you're living with a woman, what I don't understand, like this mindset of you don't need money to get women. So you're broke. You're not gonna try to better yourself at some point. Your goal is to get as many women you can without any kind of financial background or, just any kind of improvement. I mean, come on now. It costs money to raise a family. So that's a childish mindset. So when I hear guys say that, my automatic assumption is you're a bum and you're looking for a woman that's like your mother, that's just going to give you money and support you and buy video games and everything. That's the mindset I hear when you don't need money to get women. No, but you need money to keep women. If you move in with a woman, what's the deal? She paying all the bills? She's paying the rent, the electric bill and everything? Be realistic.
But the system wasn't on their side.
Oh.
To legally move the child to Macau, they needed official consent from the biological father. That's what led to Lu Qin's sudden return and the search for Ji Cheng.
In other words, she would have never came back if it wasn't for that legal matter. So she didn't come because she wanted to.
When she found him, Lu Qin was direct. She said all she needed was his signature to complete the process. She didn't want money, involvement, or drama, but Ji Cheng couldn't accept it so rationally. He felt like he was being held accountable for something he never even had the chance to be a part of. In the days that followed, the two went to the local police station to begin the paperwork. The DNA test still needed to be done, but the tension was clear. Ji Cheng remained silent throughout the process, visibly shaken. If the test confirmed paternity, he wouldn't just be gaining a son, he'd be inheriting an emotional debt 9 years overdue. And the unavoidable question, would he have done things differently if he had known from the start? Lu Qin, on the other hand, remained firm. She knew hiding the truth from her son for all those years wasn't ideal, but she claimed she wasn't ready to tell him, that she was afraid it would hurt him. So, for now, she preferred to keep the secret, at least for a little longer. Still, she wrote a letter to the boy, a letter she might deliver one day, maybe. Son, I'm sorry. If one day you want to meet your father, I will allow it. When I applied for your move to Macau, I made an agreement with him that we would never bother him. I could keep this from you forever, but I'm not telling you now because I'm afraid it would hurt you. When you grow up, you'll think differently. Mom will always love you. In the end, the question remains, did Lu Qin act out of protection or cowardice? And what about Ji Cheng? Is he truly the victim of emotional abandonment? Or just someone being forced to face a past he chose to forget? This is one of those stories without heroes or villains. Just people trying to survive the consequences of unresolved choices. And you, what would you have done in their place? Leave your thoughts in the comments. This story is, at the very least, bizarre. But what's even more disturbing is realizing it's not that rare.
I mean, there's nothing really strange about this story. I mean, I'm pretty sure this happens all the time. You leave somebody and you're dealing with other guys and then you realize that you're pregnant. Okay. Does that mean that it's the new guys or it's the previous guy that you broke up with? Because you have to understand, when women leave relationships or arrangements, a lot of times they already have somebody that they were already seeing before they break it off. Kind of like having another job lined up before you quit your current job. So that right there already makes it difficult. And you find out you're pregnant after you done ended the last relationship. So yeah, that's crazy. Anyways, Kylie Vayo, I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.